she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault. This time, it's a response to Justin Baldoni denying Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss. Oh, poor Blake. It must be so tough out there. Look at this forlorn. God, her outfits are the worst. Oh, this forlorn Blake Lively. She's really struggling here. She's really, really struggling in these two frames when everyone else is laughing around her, and clearly she is too.
Oh, she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault this time. This is in response to Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss Justin Baldoni's defamation lawsuit. Poor Blake Lively must be so tough for her. Look at this. The media paints her as the victim, always in the worst light. Oh, this poor Blake Lively.
Here's what he's trying to say at the end there, and we're going to get into an example that's sort of, he's trying to claim, well, my comment was to Justin, if we're going to hear that, and that doesn't affect everybody else. As if calling Justin an actual predator doesn't affect all of Wayfarer. It is beyond me, because it does. But as I talked to Christopher Melcher, he agrees it's silly, but there very likely could be a request from the judge to just amend the amendment, the complaint, to include a more specific reason as to why. So the likelihood of anything happening is that there is a likelihood the judge will...
Struggling with it all. You'd think she's going through a crisis when everyone else is smiling around her. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds may have just torpedoed his own defense with his motion to dismiss. Legal experts are baffled by his move. Reynolds' motion to dismiss Baldoni's defamation lawsuit is so off base it raises serious questions about whether he even read the complaint properly.
Just ask the Wayfarer parties to tighten up or clarify or more specifically mention why all of Wayfarer is affected by Mr. Reynolds. That's likely what will happen, and they'll be able to probably come up with a reason or justify it and put it into writing as to why, and then we'll still continue on with these lawsuits. So while there may be an adjustment, which is very common, guys, it's very common to have that sort of adjust, and it's common, to be fair, to do these motions to dismiss, what really all this does is just fine-tune and adjust it. It is an absolute waste of time in part of the way. And Reynolds aggressively trying to declare like all this is nonsense is just all bluff.
Blake Lively, meanwhile, is cast as the supportive wife in the media, but she's been spotted smiling at public events, acting like everything is just fine. This isn't just a small legal error. It's an entire PR disaster unfolding in real time. What Cruz is trying to say here is that his comments were not meant to affect everyone else, but they clearly have. It's like trying to argue that an offhand comment won't damage an entire...
FAC fails to adequately identify defamatory statements. Parties confirm that FAC identifies only 2 predator statements as their basis, while concluding these allegations are sufficiently specific to identify the statements. They exclusively rely on the supplements allegations embodied in their Exhibit A in support of this proposition, but Exhibit A is not part of the FAC, and whether struck or not cannot be properly considered in assessing the sufficiency of the Wayfarer party's defamation claims. The fact does not sufficiently identify what Reynolds said, when he said it, or whom he said it to, which is fatal to that claim. So he's trying to do this weird, stupid semantics thing, when in reality...
Legal experts are confused, saying his motion completely ignores the central allegations, which suggests either Reynolds didn't read the complaint or is simply in denial. He's defending himself against statements Baldoni never even brought up, while ignoring the key accusations that could end his career. Let's break this down. Reynolds recently filed to dismiss Baldoni's defamation suit.
It was there, dude. Did you even read the complaint? It's right here. Reynolds approached Baldoni's agency, namely Executive WME, and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting his agency was working with an actual predator. At a later date, demanded that the agency drop. Anyway, it's all there, Ryan. So they did. It's actually in the complaint, and it's like Ryan didn't even read it. Well, it's not there, therefore it's not. It's like, oh my God. Really? If I were the judge, I would just be so annoyed with all this repetitive nonsense. Like, pay attention, dude. Be more on top of it. I know it's a lot of stuff. But again, here's where he tries to say, well, he's not talking to all these Wayfarer people. This idea that...
But his motion completely misses the point. He's defending against claims that aren't even in the lawsuit. Meanwhile, the lawsuit is centered on very serious private allegations, specifically that Reynolds allegedly told studio execs Baldoni works with predators, but Reynolds' legal team hardly mentions that at all. Instead, they focus on comments about creative differences during the production of It Ends With Us, which isn't even part of the case. Legal experts are calling this an astonishing mistake.
By calling out Justin, the face and creative head of Wayfarer doesn't affect all of these people, and that Ryan wasn't instrumental in being part of that campaign along with Blake to destroy Justin's character and therefore Wayfair is mind-boggling to me, dude. Clearly it's all connected, and clearly it's going to be connected. On top of that, he tries to claim that the FAC didn't allege actual malice to blah, blah, blah. He goes, but it's like, dude, a quick search will remind you right here.
As Reynolds' team seems to be defending a case that doesn't even exist, while ignoring the one that could sink him. The contrast is clear. Baldoni's lawsuit is based on damaging accusations about his professional integrity, while Reynolds' response is fixated on irrelevant public disagreements. This suggests that Reynolds is hoping to win in the court of public opinion with his charm and humor. But in the courtroom, that doesn't cut it. What seems to be happening here is more than a legal mistake.
It says that upon information and belief, the lively parties was aware that the others planned to commit the tort of extortion against the Wayfair parties, and that each of the lively parties agreed with one another and intended that wrongful acts pleaded herein committed. Accordingly, each of the lively parties is equal liability to the Wayfair parties for the tort of extortion by reason of their conspiracy to commit the tort. It's all there, dude. So all this like weird stuff, he just, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I honestly don't understand what Blake and Reiner did.
It's a strategy that could backfire spectacularly. By pushing for an early dismissal, Reynolds is essentially fast-tracking the case into discovery. The most dangerous phase for him, the public and legal world are watching closely. If the motion fails, we could see everything mails, texts, and sworn testimony come out. Instead of letting the case fade, Reynolds is now ensuring it stays front and center. What was supposed to be a quiet legal issue could now explode into something far bigger. This isn't just a reputational issue.
Oh, forlorn Blake Lively breaks cover. Far from Hollywood as insiders reveal new private battle. Creeping regret over Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Oh, poor Blake. It must be so tough out there. Look at this forlorn. God, her outfits are the worst. Oh, this forlorn Blake Lively. She's really struggling here. She's really struggling in these two frames when everyone else is laughing around her, and clearly she is too. It's like, look at this guy howling in laughter. It must be so tough to be Blake Lively. They're at an equestrian farm in South Salem as their daughter competes in a horse show.
For Reynolds, it could also ruin the brands he's built, including his business ventures with Blake Lively. This strategy of deflecting to public comments while avoiding the core issue is starting to look less like savvy lawyering and more like panic. Blake Lively's image has been dragged into the fray as well. Despite the media painting her as the sympathetic wife, she's been seen laughing at events, far from the distressed figure they want to portray.
So, she's really struggling. The relatable Blake Lively is so forlorn and struggling at a horse farm as her daughter competes in equestrian acts. Most people can afford to do that, right? To head off to horse farms for their daughters to compete in equestrian events. My God, I dislike this woman more and more as much as she goes out there. It's crazy because this whole article is trying to paint it as how difficult it is.
The contradiction between her public image and the media's portrayal is glaring. She's still living her life, while this lawsuit keeps spiraling further out of control. And yet, the predator accusation remains the most serious claim in the lawsuit. Reynolds' failure to address this directly could have serious consequences for both his career and his marriage. The longer Reynolds ignores most damaging allegations, the creditor comments,
Blake is striving for normalcy in her life, but the past few weeks have been incredibly challenging. It seems like every move she makes is now under constant criticism. You're just now realizing this after the Saturday Night Live thing, after the South by Southwest, after the stupid PR opportunity that was the donut shop. Oh, she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault.
The more it becomes clear that he's trying to avoid facing the facts. In Hollywood, that word predator could destroy any career, and Reynolds' failure to directly confront it could very well be his biggest mistake yet. If the lawsuit goes to discovery, the full scope of the case will be exposed. Reynolds' legal team may have just ensured that his worst fears become a reality. If I were in Blake's position, I'd be looking for ways to diffuse this before it spirals further. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's happening.
Could have just moved on with your life and not sued Justin. You could have celebrated the win of that movie and just let it be an awkward moment in your time and later move on and figure out a way to actually help your PR. Instead, you've tripled, quadrupled. What's the one best? Quadrupled, quintupled? I don't know. You've done it so much, 9-tupled, 10-tupled yourself into the worst spot you could be. I don't understand why she isn't figuring out how to stop the bleeding like yesterday.
It's hard to ignore the mounting tension between the couple's public personas and the legal drama unfolding behind the scenes. Blake Lively, who has often been seen as the supportive partner, now finds herself at the center of it all. With Reynolds' legal troubles escalating, many are wondering how long this will continue to play out in the public eye, while the couple has remained largely silent. Some insiders believe they're just trying to ride the storm out. The problem is,
it makes no sense. If Justin were willing, and if the rest of that team were willing, she should be figuring out whatever she can do to just shake hands and move on. Because you got to remember, it's not just Justin who's getting involved. And I have to believe some of these people, all of them, just want this to be over. At a certain point, when this lawsuit when they get so heavy and you're in so the weeds, there is a point where you do just want to just wave the white flag, and both parties agree, we're done. We're going to move on. Let each party do what they want to do. And obviously you can choose to support who you want to support, but I would not be surprised if it happens. But I am shocked that it hasn't happened yet.
As the lawsuit drags on, more eyes are on them than ever before. And for Blake, who has always maintained a polished, almost perfect image, it's beginning to crack under the pressure. It's becoming more clear that the stakes are much higher than anyone expected. If Reynolds' motion to dismiss is denied, as many predict, it's likely we'll see a full discovery phase. That means depositions, emails, and even private conversations could be exposed, and Blake Lively that could be dragged further into the mess.
After the disastrous events, she's trying to pretend like there's nothing wrong. Clearly there is, but I don't see much damages because you're able to live your life the same way. Doesn't seem like you're losing much opportunities. You're still promoting your business that you claim failed. Nothing failed, Blake. And anything that did fail was due to your own actions. That is the reality. That is just clearer and clearer as more evidence piles up and time.
The silence around the predator accusation speaks volumes. Every time Reynolds' legal team avoids the subject, it only draws more attention to it. The public and industry insiders are growing more suspicious of their handling of the situation as the case progresses. It seems Blake Lively is caught between supporting her husband and maintaining her own public image. She's being forced into a corner where she can't fully escape the fallout from Reynolds' actions.
Reality, I don't think Ryan Reynolds is in reality. This response to the motion to dismiss response reads like he doesn't even know what Justin put in his own complaints. It is incredibly frustrating to read this entire thing. There's a lot. I'll start with the intro and then I'll go through a few examples. The Wayfarer Party's opposition confirms the central thesis of Mr. Ryan's motion to dismiss. The FAC is meritless. List of grievances and hurt feelings designed to retaliate against Blake Lively for raising SH or retaliation claims. Keyword claims that he has every right to defend himself on.
What's truly shocking is how this legal misstep could impact their careers. While Reynolds might be able to bounce back from public criticism, Lively's career built on her carefully crafted image of grace and elegance might not recover as easily. One thing is clear. The predator accusation is a bombshell, and if it's proven true or even just perceived to be true, it could completely unravel everything they've worked so hard to build. As Hollywood looks on, everyone is waiting to see how this all unfolds.
The opposition is riddled with fatal concessions. As if you haven't done that yourself in your own past interviews and everything else, but I digress. One example, despite the FAC's preposterous $400 million damages claim, the opposition concedes that the FAC is in fact alleges no actual monetary harm whatsoever, instead relying exclusively on defamation per se theory that even if it were valid, which it's not, fails to allege cognizable damages for any of the FAC's other claims. In addition, the opposition concedes the FAC does not allege proximate causation, another fatal omission.
For now, Blake and Ryan may be hoping the storm will pass, but as the lawsuit drags on, it's only gaining momentum. Each day brings new revelations, and the pressure is building. It's only a matter of time before the full extent of their legal miscalculations and their personal lives are exposed for the world to see. Blake Lively might have thought that stepping back into the public eye would be a simple return to normalcy, but now it seems like she's more embroiled in this mess than ever before. What happens next could determine whether their carefully cultivated personas survive or fall apart.